Welcome back to another episode of the Funeral Babe podcast. Today we're going to be talking about funeral and death myths, conspiracies, and misconceptions. I'm your host, Melissa, funeral director, undertaker, mortician, death influencer, and this is my co-host.
You wear all the hats. Anything you need. I'm Christina. I am just here to have a good time.
My ride or die,
That
definitely.
was a mouthful.
Yeah, it was.
Can you say it one more time?
Funeral myths, misconceptions, and conspiracy theories.
Okay.
TikTok has taken, the internet has went on the next level this past week. I've gotten tagged in so many crazy stories. Have you seen any of it?
I saw your video, which showed and explained some of the myths, but I didn't look at their videos talking about it. So please explain.
Oh yeah, no, I went into I was like, Alex, I'll take that never happened for 500 and that never happened for 1,000. First and foremost, there is this gravedigger on TikTok right now.
What's a gravedigger?
He digs graves at the cemetery.
That's his job.
Yeah, usually with a crew.
It's not like somebody who goes there after hours.
No, wait. That funeral myths and conspiracies, I've got one for you. Wait, Texas Chainsaw Massacre, is it a true story?
Yeah, it's based off a true story, isn't it?
That's what everyone thinks.
That's what I thought.
Okay, it is very loosely based off of a true story. And for somehow, in the 70s when they said that, everyone just believed it to be real.
Of course.
But I did a little
ChatGPT back then.
No, we didn't, and now we do. And I went into some research because I was thinking about it, and I was like, oh my gosh, this can't be that this. I thought this was a real story my whole life. I asked my grandma, she was alive in the 50s, I'm like, what'd you do with the Texas Chainsaw Massacre? How'd you live? She was like, I don't live in Texas.
Yeah, so they probably didn't have it. I mean, I'm sure it was, if it was real, it would be on world news, but maybe they didn't have a TV.
Yeah, I feel like they didn't have TVs then.
It wasn't, yeah.
So I look into
global.
this, and it turns out that it was very loosely based on a true story, and it was actually based on this guy named Ed Gein, and he was from Wisconsin.
Not Texas.
Not Texas. And he technically wasn't a serial killer, but he did kill 2 people, as they seem, and the second person, when they caught him, he had just this is horrible, gutted them and hung them up as if he was gonna like an animal, hunting. But when they found him, because this was a report and they went in, they ended up finding a lampshade made of human skin, a face mask made from a woman's face, a belt made of nipples, and it was all human stuff. And it turned out that he was actually digging up graves.
Okay,
so that's
so it's more than 2
grave
people.
digger, but and he was a self-proclaimed taxidermy. And it was just taxidermist, and it was just, what a story, right? So
was he selling?
I don't think
items?
so. I think he was just taxidermying humans. I don't know, way beyond anything that I could. But so this gravedigger,
Actual job gravedigger.
actual job, current time on TikTok, gets on and says there's nobody in these caskets. His story is he was helping the funeral director move the casket, and it was way too light to have anybody in it. And it was all this hunting music. Where are the bodies? And then I'm reading the comments. This goes off, right?
Yeah.
Oh, and he says that he asked the funeral director, why is it so light? And the funeral director said, don't ask questions you're not ready for answers for. So something I would say too. Doubt he said it, but I would totally say that. And then I'm reading the comments, and people are going as far as saying we're eating the bodies.
You personally?
Not me, the comment section in the TikTok video, people are claiming that there was nobody in the casket because we're eating the bodies.
Funeral directors are...
No, McDonald's, I think.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I would assume, if anyone's going to do it, it's going to be a big corporation.
Sure, why not? It's really cut
big.
costs that way, but is it? No. Yeah. So it was this whole thing, where are the bodies going? And then it goes into no new cemeteries.
Wait, real quick.
Yeah.
When the caskets go into the ground, they're sealed shut, right? So there's no way of them, the gravedigger, peeking in before he
No,
puts it in.
girl, there's so many facets to this, but you're the gravedigger. We're not opening the casket in front of you. Also, I'm your job is very important, but you're not going to be there for that. Also, the funeral director came from the funeral with the family. At what point did they drop mom out the back? You know,
There's a secret compartment in the hearse that no one knows about.
There's like reasons, and then like you can twist this story into so many different ways. But you have a permit, so the permit when someone dies, like you have to file paperwork. You just can't go bury people and like cremate people.
Yeah.
You know, you got to file
process.
You got to file paperwork. So when you do that, like you have a permit that you have to give to the cemetery, and the cemetery has to file that with like their state, like that there's where that human has gone, where we're disposing human remains. So like there's paperwork.
Yeah.
Foreman doesn't see that. The gravedigger's not going to see that paperwork unless you're like the supervisor, but clearly you're not.
Yeah.
And also like the weight of a casket, like I just got a casket delivery today, 184 pounds.
Is that a light or a heavy casket? 'Cause I would say heavy.
I feel like that's really heavy. That's like that's a
Yeah.
gauge steel, like an 18 gauge steel casket. So heavy, but like you put somebody in there, you know, if you put me in there, I'm only 120 pounds. Like it's not gonna be, it's gonna feel light compared to
Yeah.
that casket. Some casket also weighs 110 pounds. You could put a 200 person, you know, like
Yeah.
who are you? You
Exactly.
have
Exactly.
So this whole thing went off on that, and I just thought it was. Or also, like, what if people put cremated remains in the casket?
Yeah. That happens?
Yeah, like it's no one's business that they
Yeah.
can. Yeah.
Okay. I mean, I'm judging, but also it's not my place
Like
to judge.
if some people, I think
Seems
it's
like a
like they
lot
don't
of
want to. They want the whole show, maybe, or like maybe the remains had to be cremated
Yeah.
for whatever reason.
But they had the platter or something. But
Yeah, or like
Okay.
I'm sure there's a lot of
Yeah.
reasons that people do it. Some people might also just not be able to bear to see an urn, so they'll use a casket instead.
Okay.
Like they didn't know to start this whole thing. He ended
Yeah.
up having to take the video down, and his job was like threatening him or something. The whole thing just seems crazy.
Yeah.
But it went viral.
And people are like supporting it and agreeing with it, and I'm assuming telling their own myths.
Yeah,
and
there's so many
stories.
stories, and the cemetery thing. So people are like, "Well, think about it. There's no new cemeteries." How many times do you drive by a cemetery a day?
Probably every day. I feel
Do
like
you? Do you live by one?
I just feel like there's always cemeteries around.
Do you?
Maybe I'm
Little ones. I feel like
little like tiny ones by churches. I feel like there's always
like the old
plots
school
and
ones.
stuff.
Okay,
Yeah.
small ones. So
Yeah.
you're not seeing like funerals happening there. They're old school cemeteries.
No, yeah, I'm not seeing nothing.
Right.
Yeah,
But if you went to like the National Cemetery, you would see that they're burying so many, people per day. It's just most people don't drive past a busy cemetery, so like you're not seeing it be
I don't ever
active.
see a funeral going on when I'm driving past any of these.
Yeah, because you're probably talking about like church cemeteries
Yeah.
that have been closed, like small little like courtyard,
yeah.
like nobody there. But like bigger ones, like your active cemeteries could be doing like 40 burials per day.
Yeah.
People just don't see it, so they're like, where are the bodies going? It's like you're just not watching.
Yeah.
Like, and it's also between certain hours. We're not burying people at night. This isn't like, look, when you're driving at 5 o'clock at work, burials are done. You're at work. You're
Yeah,
home.
they're done, yeah.
Like you don't see it, and like cemetery expansion. So a lot of times what happens is
I was losing my train of thought, but then you just brought it back to Calverton. That's where my dad is buried.
Yeah.
And every time I go there, which I mean, isn't that often, but anytime I go, I feel like it gets bigger. I feel like there's more land cut down. I feel like all of a sudden now there's like a whole nother section to it.
you're gonna be mind blown in a second. So national cemeteries here where we are. So we have Calverton, and we also have like Long Island National Cemetery. Long Island National Cemetery is closed, meaning that there is no more space for full casket burials. All right, unless they call it a subsequent, meaning like somebody's already in there. Like your spouse died many years ago. Like your
Gotcha.
spot is reserved still, and they did
Okay.
have like a reserve program. There's like little things in there, but it's closed, so no new burials.
Where is that?
Your dad wouldn't have been able to go there at the time
Really?
because it was closed in Farmingdale.
And how long has it been closed for? Like a while, or?
I feel like it had to have closed out probably in the start when I started.
Did we?
My ringtone is Jessica by the Allman Brothers, but I was named after Sweet Melissa. I don't recognize this number. I don't know
Is
if it's
it a
work.
work call?
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
Don't think so. Bring me back to
Expansion.
Long Island National
Yeah.
Cemetery. No, I guess I've been doing this for like over a decade, and I think it was pretty much closed or becoming closed when I
Okay.
had just started, so probably over a decade.
Okay.
But you could still put, an urn in the wall there, like the niches. They do have space for that. So like it is still an active cemetery. I still go
You just
there.
cannot buy a plot and
You
be
can't.
buried there.
Yeah, and you don't buy plots at national cemeteries.
Oh, duh, that's right.
It's a VA
that's right.
benefit, kind of nice benefit.
Yeah.
So yeah, but I'm still going there. So that cemetery's been closed for for whatever sake, 10 years, and I'm still going there actively. So Calverton is an active cemetery. So what happens is when you call to schedule the grave burial, if it's a first interment, meaning it's the first person going in, so your dad was first interment, your mom would be subsequent, meaning second. So obviously mom's burial would be with your dad.
Yeah.
But when your dad went in, basically that's why you can't go graveside, you go under the shelter.
I don't know what that means.
Do you remember? We were outside we weren't at the grave.
Okay,
You know?
I wasn't sure.
You're
what
like,
that
no, I
means.
blacked that out.
Yeah.
Bad memory. When we were there, so what they do is all the burials that are first interment basically are all in line with each other.
Okay.
And so they dig a big hole, and everyone gets their own vaults because it's government. Like you can have a nice one, but they all issue concrete liners that would go in, and they all go in that way. So it's almost like, yeah, you could do like 30 people in a grave if it's the first interment, depending, you know.
Wow.
So cemeteries are very active. Calverton, I believe, is still also expanding.
Yeah.
So cemeteries own land, and then they continue to expand when the space is needed.
Okay.
Did you ever think of that like that?
No, I mean, I definitely saw it. I like firsthand. I just like, because at one point, I think when my dad died, I was like, where, like, this place is pretty full, like where we were at least. I'm like, I don't know. But then you, like, now looking back, I'm like, oh, there was all those trees and all that land, and they just knocked it down, cleared it out.
Start to clear it.
Now, like, you go there and it's been, you know, almost 10 years, so it's gotten, like, a lot. You know, unfortunately, a lot. Well, I guess not unfortunate.
I mean, it is. I was actually reading, because all of this obviously makes me want to go and like research stuff. They've opened plenty of new cemeteries. We have another one on Long Island that just opened in 2020 called Queen of Peace that, you know, just opened. They opened up 5 new VA, like national cemeteries. One of them is in Puerto Rico, though, in the last 5 years.
Okay.
You know, these burials can hold 38,000 people. You know, it's more than that, 52,000. Think about how many remains that is. And that's people who are choosing burial when cremation is 60% right now. And so most people are getting cremated.
That's why, the other reason too, why there were the bodies.
You know, like
right?
we're not going to be expanding as fast as people would think when 60% of people are getting cremated. But bringing back to that expansion is there's another cemetery local to me, a smaller cemetery, and they actually had owned houses around the cemetery land. And then as they expand, they would, you know, get rid of the house and use, you know, and they're using that land as they develop. And another very big cemetery over here owns a golf course.
Oh, so that's...
So as the golf, and then when you think about it, you got 18 holes. And then when you got to expand a little bit, you just got to make it a 9-holer, you know, and then you got to have a cemetery. So yeah, a lot of cemeteries expand and people don't realize it. And it happens right in front of your eyes. You're just not watching.
Yeah, of course.
You know, it's little tiny sections. So we're not like eating the bodies.
Well, I appreciate you clearing that up, but I don't think anybody with like a common sense would honestly really think that. I don't, like, you think it's that more common than?
No, people really, like, they're like, where are the cows? Where, they're not on, I never see cows anywhere. I'm like, you live in the suburbs. We're not processing and distributing them on your driveway. That's going to be on like agricultural land.
Yeah.
What was the other one?
Another myth.
Yeah, another myth.
Yeah.
Funeral directors remove your acrylic nails before they bury you.
Is that necessary?
Make it make sense.
Don't you do their nails though sometimes?
Yeah, of course, girl. Yeah, like I love to do a nice French, by the way.
Yeah.
Nice French. I always do their nails, but removing acrylic, why would that be necessary?
Maybe if they needed a new set.
I mean, yeah, like you can get a fill-in, but like I'm not going and...
Do you do fill-ins?
Like, have I done them?
Yeah.
Yeah, in my own way.
Okay.
Like, no one's ever asked me to like get a nail
Like a full
technician.
set.
Like, yeah, like can you go get somebody for like nice? If they wanted a full set, I would ask is press-ons okay? Like, they're do a nice job with a nice press-on. You know, you've used them. I still use them. No one's asked me to do that. Like, at a nail tech. Like, you know.
But what
call
do they
my girl
mean by
Amy to come in. Amy would be like, Melissa, seriously? She would totally do it.
She would do it.
She would totally do it.
That would be the one person that you could call.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. What was I going to ask? But why do people think that you take off the nails? Like, what would be the necessity for that?
See, I don't know, and the internet goes wild. I mean, these videos go absolutely viral, and people are like, "I'm disgusted." Like, it all makes sense now. I'm like, what does it make? Who wants to do that? Like, if I went to work and they were like, "Listen, every person who comes in with fake nails, you have to pry them off," I'd be like, "Oh, thank you. No, this is not. It's not."
Well, can I ask you, does anything happen like after you die and you have fake nails? Like, what happens? Anything, or it's just like?
No, I'm sure they'll break down like ashes to ashes,
like
dust to dust.
fall
I'm a
off.
firm believer that everything that goes into the ground is going to eventually go back to the ground.
Yeah.
Like you can't stop that. That's like the whole sales tactic. Like, oh, this casket is going to last like 20 years or, like you can't guarantee that.
Yeah.
I always think you got to think of the weight of the earth, like, and I mean like literal dirt. Like when you fill that up with water, rainy days, you put some snow on top of that for months at a time, years, and it's just
the ground
saturating
freezes
and it's going and it's going. And then you have this huge equipment in an active cemetery that weighs tons of weight just pressing up on
rocking
that
the
dirt.
ground,
Yeah,
yeah.
like it's gonna break down eventually. Like eventually that's gonna happen. Why did I just go off on that whole tangent?
Because we were talking about the acrylic nails.
Yeah, I don't know. Like I think they'll eventually
it?
just go back. They're gonna, it's gonna eventually go back to dirt. Like everything breaks down. Just might take a really long time.
So why would you have to take them off?
I don't know. And that, like, to me, I'm like, people run with this. Oh, and when I do fill-ins, by the way, a lot of times people don't like my nails, I guess, like probably need a fill-in, as you would say, but I just use polish and I'll just do like extra coats and I'll just file a lot. Okay. So I'm not doing like actual nail tech stuff at all.
But I feel like just even that, like taking the time to do that is so like, it's a nice gesture. It's appreciative. I feel like do you have to do that? I guess you just
I think that it's important to take care of detail whenever I do stuff, especially hands. Like I always take time with the nails or like even like the knuckles and making them red, like all those little details. I always just think that when you go to a funeral and you're viewing somebody, like it sounds weird, but it is like you're viewing an art, like you're staring. Like I've kneeled next to plenty of friends and family members when we go to the casket and like I hear what they say to me, like, are you seeing his hands? Is his eye open? I'm like, shut up, like look at his makeup, you could have did better, like I always hear it, or like, oh, he looks great, know? So you hear it and like people are staring. So it's like sometimes if you get that right side of the kneeler, like you got the hands. I want to see a nice manicure, It's your last manicure. And like I said, what if I see them
on the other side.
On the other side,
Like
sometimes though, if like I've had like hands that are super, super, like arthritis, so they're really stuck. So sometimes you can't get a full thumbnail at all without like painting the hands. So some people's nails, I've only got the viewing part.
Well, you do it the best.
You do the best that you can.
Course.
That's what you got to do. And and piercings and implants was another thing. Do we remove piercings and stuff like that? Like only if the family wants us to.
What about for cremation? Do you have to remove
battery packs, implants, any radioactive material? So really just pacemakers.
Okay. And implants?
No, but like that's like a battery pack kind of implant. Anything that could explode, because they can explode. It's really high heat.
Yeah.
And if the crematory operator is working, like you can do serious damage or damage the machine. So that stuff gets removed, but not like hip bone. If you had a hip replacement or anything like that, we don't. I'm not like, cutting out somebody's hands. That would be crazy. No, we don't do that. No. That goes, when you get cremated, usually like everything gets cleaned out. All the metal gets disposed of in medical waste. It gets, the cremains get cleaned and everything and then goes through the process. So we don't remove that stuff. Okay. And like piercings would only be if a family requested us to, like, I hated her nose ring. Can you take it out? Like, sure, but.
Now, do most families... Because now, like, I'm, like, blacking out. Do most families put jewelry on when they do the services? Yeah, right?
Give and take. I like when they do, especially, like, with women. Like, I think, even if it's costume jewelry, but some people do, like, real jewelry, like diamond rings, like,
if that's,
we
return. We
can return it,
of course,
So we put it all on, and then when everyone leaves, we'll take it off and return it. But, like, costume jewelry, earrings, like, but we can cremate them with it. Okay. And then some people... actually will bury their really nice jewelry.
Yeah.
It's like, oh my gosh, really? None of the grandkids want it? No, you're just going to bury it. You're just going to cremate it. When you think about it, it's just going to, you don't get back the ring, like.
Well, what, that's based off people's requests that they want to be buried in it, or just the family members maybe knew that they always liked to wear the jewelry, or like why?
Why put them on or why take it off?
Like, why keep it on for the burials? Is that like the person?
I guess if it's their wish, or it's just like no one else could ever wear that, or it's so like it's the family and like no one wants it or something. Okay. I don't know. There's like a lot, like let her have it. It's like, does she have it?
She doesn't really need it.
Like, that's why back in the day there was like grave robbers that would like go and rob graves.
That's a real thing.
That's a real thing. Who was the famous guy?
I don't know this.
It will come to me. Chaplin, Harry, some Chaplin guy, something like that. Definitely had his grave dug up. So I don't know. It was a real thing. And no, you like that. I would give it to family, definitely.
Yeah.
They sit up is the next one. This is the most exhausting.
Like, sit up. What do you mean?
Like that body sit up. I don't know why. It's an exhausting rumor. Have you ever heard this?
Not that I could think of. Yeah, like
Bro,
making
I feel like
noises.
I've been at your family table and they're like,
definitely.
"Oh, Mel, did the body sit up?"
Just they sit up or make noises, or because my grandma let out like a big old sigh after they pronounced her dead, and that scared the shit out of us. But also we like laughed about it. Like it was like perfect timing for like what was going on, and like.
Well, so I've had my moments too where so the body can get air trapped in its lungs, and there's times too at work where like you're doing something and like you're moving or adjusting the body, and all of a sudden you just the release. It is very like the first couple times it's happened to me, I'm telling you, like jump scare back, like
scream,
staring, just straight. I'm
Was anybody with you too to like prepare you?
I've been with another person when it's happened. First time, no though. Like, and I mean, like, I'm always whenever I get scared at work, I'm a jump and stare. Like, I don't move. Like, I'm like ice cold queen. Like. Just wait.
Like if you're frozen and they're frozen, maybe.
Like it's gonna avoid some kind of situation. I'm not a runner. I'm not a screamer. I'm a shocked, like just pause frozen.
God, you won't make it in any horror movie.
No, that actually happens with the air getting, and if you're also like moving, same thing with like their hands and stuff like that. Like as you're adjusting, if you're raising arteries, you're dressing them, you could move their arm and then the next thing you know, it comes back.
Gives you a hug.
Oh, I've had my ass slapped by a lot of decedents. Many of us, I think, have. I got slapped in the face.
Many of us?
Funeral directors, it's common. You're like, not me.
I've never been slapped in the ass by a dead person.
I got slapped in the face for the first time the other day at work.
Oh, recently?
Yeah.
How does that happen? I feel like you're so seasoned now, like you could avoid these things, like Bob and
and
Weave.
it was so, like, for me, it was so funny. I was trying to dress the decedent, and, like, they were so small, and the clothes were, like, big enough, and I was like, I'm not going to cut your clothes. Like, I'm not going to do that. I don't have to. Yeah. Like, why would I do that? So as I'm putting on, it was like a long sleeve shirt, so as I'm trying to put it on, the arms, because you put it like in front, it's like a whole process. And as I'm putting it on, I'm going to adjust it to get it down, and his arm came up, and then I moved my head at the same time, and I just got a big slap across the face.
He did not like what you were doing it.
No. And I was like, sorry, bro, like, so sorry.
Give me a minute.
My bad.
That's kind of funny.
So, like, those things, but, like, a body isn't going to just
no one's ever sat up on you, turned you, and been like,
but
gotcha.
I'll meet anyone, like, just people's random family members, too, and be like, so my mom, she's a nurse, and one day she said she was transporting a patient who passed away, and then they sat up in the bed. I'm like, no way. They lied to you.
Yeah.
Like, somebody's landscaper's mother's brother's sister, like.
Okay, so nobody's ever directly said to you, I've seen somebody sit up, explain it to me.
Yeah, no. It's always somebody.
You're gonna
like,
hear
They don't. And like, I feel like that's a big giant myth. The same thing with when people say, like, they go to a funeral and they're waiting, they're just staring at the decedent. They swear they saw it breathe, and it's like, listen to me. If that person's embalmed, which most cases, when you're having a public visitation, embalming is not required by law. Okay, that's a big misconception. It's not required by law. But if you're having when you're having an open visitation, most funeral homes probably will require it, because you're having the public come, and it's for so many different reasons. Besides that, you're disinfecting, you're cleaning, and people can argue that it's not a public health thing, but you can get into it. But in my opinion, yes, it's complete disinfection. The decedent, you don't want any unpleasantries at a funeral. So embalming, it prevents a lot of things,
like
leaking, purging,
just shitting themselves.
Yeah, people, like, that's what happens.
Well,
so,
like,
you
can't control your,
as soon as you die, like, your body starts to decompose within seconds. Like, that's just how it goes. Cellular death, everything starts to go. So, like, you can't control that. And, you know, you don't want unpleasantries. The way I see it too is you're having people into your home, and that's a funeral home, and you're putting someone's loved one there, and you're having people come in. Like, you don't want to scar them. Like, this is also your business.
Yeah.
Like, imagine going in there and everyone came out. They don't know that, you know, Aunt Ruthie was just super, you know, didn't want to have the embalming, this and the other thing. And they think that we just did a really bad job. And it's, you know, no one wants that.
You can be like, hey, you know, sorry for your loss, by the way.
Yeah, like, this is what happened. No, it's like,
Not
you
my
saw
fault.
what you saw.
Yeah.
That brings me to, in a misconception, a good one is my mom, who, my own mother, like, funeral director here, like, I can explain and educate her all I want. She went to a funeral once, and she comes back and she's like, Melissa, you will never believe it. I was like, what? She's like, we were at the casket, and they began to cry, tears of blood. I was like, Mom, no way. Absolutely not. That could not have happened. And she's like, I'm telling you, it was a miracle.
A miracle?
It's like, Mom,
That's terrifying.
The body was literally leaking. Like, I'm not saying these things can happen and they're accidents, and obviously it happens, you know, but like, that's where you get something, and then you have this whole misconception story
if you're
of
not educated,
this miracle, you know, story of a decedent crying tears of blood, like the Virgin Mary or something. Like, it's like, I'm sorry. That wasn't the case.
It's just biology.
It's just biology. Like, it's just certain things, but she likes to believe it, so I let her have it, you know? It's fine. It's totally fine. And yeah, I guess we could go on about this forever, because I can go in all about how you don't cut the legs off and everything else, because we don't. You know, you just bend the knees. You bend the knees when they're too tall. That's it.
Oh, that can't be comfortable for them.
Yeah, no, you just a little bend if you have to.
I sometimes like to sit on my knees.
Yeah, caskets are 7 feet long, so
if you're over 7 feet,
then you just bend the knees a little bit. No one's chopping anyone's legs off.
Right.
Okay,
I
that's
see what
another
you're not
one.
like folding them in half.
Yeah, we're not breaking legs. Okay, that's not what we're doing. We're not eating the bodies. We're not doing any of that. But
and they're not sitting up, but you may get smacked in the face. Or the butt.
Moral of the story is Google is free. ChatGPT is free. Just check it into it.
Yeah.
And you know what? Just because you don't funeral service and death care and death is unknown and it's mysterious because you don't know, it doesn't mean that there's a conspiracy theory behind it. It just means you need to like learn a little more.
Yeah.
Like, just educate yourself a little more. Not everything, and figure it out. Maybe there is a conspiracy theory there, but you gotta do a lot more research in there, because I don't see it. You ain't fooling me.
No, and you see it every day. So I feel like at this point you would have seen something.
Yeah. We're on the Mythbusters of all this stuff. Hopefully the internet will take it over.
I like it. I'm gonna go find some conspiracy theories and have you debunk them for us.
I know. All right, girl.
That's it?
We're gonna wrap up. Yeah, I got things to do.
All right.
So.
All right. Well, this was so much fun. I love not knowing what the topic is beforehand, because this is just, I'm like learning.
That's the whole point, Queen.
I'm learning with everybody.
The whole point.
This is great.
It is awesome. And leave comments. Let us know what you want to hear us talk about.
Yeah,
like comment,
share it, subscribe.
Yeah, definitely subscribe, watch, listen to it all the time. And don't forget to follow across all the platforms.
She's got a lot.
Yeah, we're doing big things over here. Mwah!